I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could remain standing and just take a moment, as we always do, and remember our men and women in the armed forces, and also a moment for George Floyd, who was senselessly killed. Thank you. Before we go into our annual, got it? Before we go into our annual reorg, I want to give this to Merv Livesey for his father's birthday today.
It is.
So this is for your father. You're going to blow it out, and I'm going to have this for breakfast. Okay? Make a wish for
I
him.
will.
Okay, that's for your father. There you go. All right? There you go. That's the town supervisor. We got to recognize him. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. I need a motion to open up this meeting. Tina?
Is it reorder?
Yeah. Yeah, could I have a motion to open up reorg?
Motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I would like the following, I'd like there to be a motion on the following. One-year appointment. Deputy Village Clerk and Treasurer, Anna Sierra.
Motion.
No, I have a few and then we'll do
Oh,
it. That's okay. Attorney for the Village, Elise Terhune. Budget Officer, Ralph Walters. Bingo Inspector, the Police Chief. Fair Housing Officer, Anna Sierra. MWBE Officer, the Village Clerk. The 911 Addressing Coordinator is the Police Chief and the Fire Chief. And I'd like to talk, Chief, for a minute about 911 numbering during the meeting. And Bog Meadow caretakers who go up to Bog Meadow and help us keep it clean, along with the water department, and I see our water superintendent in the back of the room there, William Barron, Randy Mesh, and Jim Titolo. If I could have a motion for that.
So moved.
Motion by trustee DeSalvo, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Roll
Motion
call?
carried.
Roll call?
Want roll call? You do?
Yes.
Okay, those made the motion, we'll do roll call.
Trustee Alward?
Yes.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Yes.
Trustee Livesey?
Aye.
Trustee Ramus?
Aye.
Mayor DeNarcio?
Yes, motion carries, thank you. If I could have a motion to appoint as purchasing clerk, Luciana Brown.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
May I have roll call?
Trustee Alward?
Aye.
Trustee Livesey?
Aye.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Aye.
Trustee Ramus?
Aye.
Mayor DeNarcio?
Aye, motion carries, thank you. May I have a motion for the following? The official depository of the village shall be J.P. Morgan Chase, N.A., HSBC Bank, USA, and Orange County Trust, and Key Bank. The official newspaper of the village shall be the News of the Highlands and the Times Herald Record when needed. Sometimes there's deadlines. C, all regular village board meetings shall be held on the first Monday of each month at 7 p.m. in the Village Hall, 303 Main Street, Highland Falls, New York, and on the third Monday of each month at 7 p.m. at 303 Main Street, Highland Falls. Bills and claims will be approved at each meeting. The official business hours of the Village Hall are 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily, except Saturday, Sundays, and holidays. The annual inspection of the village installation and streets will be held in June 2020. The annual inventory for the village fixed assets shall be held during the month of June 2020. The mayor shall be authorized to sign checks and disperse village funds in the event of an emergency or in the absence of the treasurer, the deputy treasurer, and the village clerk. The appointment of J. Robert Fulchetti and Associates as the village engineer. Reimbursement rate for the authorized use of privately owned vehicles shall be determined by the IRS Federal Tax Guide rate for 2020, which is 57.5 cents per mile. That pursuant to Section 281-1 of the New York State Bingo Commission Rules and Regulations, the bingo inspector, Police Chief Scott, is authorized to act in matters pertaining to bingo operations for the village board in the village of Highland Falls. Pursuant to Part 5600 of the Rules and Regulations of Games of Chance, delegated to the following named officers the responsibility and the authority granted to them by law in relation to the issuance, amendment, and cancellation of license, the conduct of investigations, in the hearings, the supervision of the operation of games of chance, and the collection, utilization, and transmission of fees for a period of 1 year shall be the village clerk and the deputy village clerk. That pursuant to the village law 5-525-6, the Board of Trustees authorizes payment in advance of audit of claims for public utility services, postage, freight, and express charges. All such claims must be presented at the next regular meeting for audit, and the claimant and the officer incurring or approving the claim are jointly severely liable for any amount the Board of Trustees disavows. Pursuant to Chapter 12 and 12-2 of the Code of the Village of Highland Falls, that the continuity of government in the event of an emergency disaster shall be the following: Deputy Mayor George Dapper, William Barron, John Willis. Fire Commissioners Ken Palazzo, Ken Conley, Eric Smith. Deputy Sanitation Commissioner Joseph Belladone, Anthony Palella. Deputy Street Commissioners is Carlo Myers and Randy Mesh. Deputy Water Commissioners is James McDonald and Arvell Brown. Deputy Chief of Police Tom Pitt, George Fallon, Ray Mazaris. Deputy Clerk Amy Belladone, Lillian Mims. Deputy Treasurer Mike DeSalvo, George Biskup, and Harvey Green. Now I have a motion for that reading.
So, second.
Motion by Trustee Livesey, second by Trustee DeSalvo. May I have roll call?
Trustee Albert?
Aye.
Trustee Livesey?
Aye.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Aye.
Trustee Ramus?
Aye.
Mayor Denarpio?
Aye. Thank you, motion carries. I need a motion that we put in your box, review the previously adopted written investment policy to be continued. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
May I have roll call?
Trustee Albert?
Aye.
Trustee Livesey?
Aye.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Aye.
Trustee Ramus?
Aye.
Mayor Denarpio?
Aye. Thank you, motion carries. May I have a motion that the adopted procurement policy be continued as reviewed?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee DeSalvo, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Howard. May I have roll call?
Trustee Albert?
Aye.
Trustee Livesey?
Aye.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Yes.
Trustee Ramus?
Aye.
Mayor Denarpio?
Aye, motion carries, thank you. May I have a motion that the office, Village Hall, be closed at 1 p.m. on December 24th, 2020, the day before Christmas at 1 o'clock. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Trustee Ramus, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee DeSalvo. May I have roll call?
Trustee Albert?
Aye.
Trustee Livesey?
Aye.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Yes.
Trustee Ramus?
Aye.
Mayor Denarpio?
Aye, motion carries. Before I close this reorganization out, I have the following appointments with no need for a motion. They're my appointments. Deputy Mayor Brian Howard. Police Commissioner James DeSalvo. Fire Commissioner Joseph D'Onofrio. Sanitation Wastewater Commissioner Joseph D'Onofrio. Street Commissioner Brian Howard. Water Commissioner Merv Livesey. Building Commissioner Regina Taylor. Code Enforcement Liaison to the Code Enforcement Officer down at the Town Hall, James Ramus. Disaster Preparedness Liaison, Eric Smith. Senior Citizen Liaison, Joseph D'Onofrio. DPW EA Union Negotiator, Labor Attorney. Police Union Negotiator, Labor Attorney. Town Liaison, Joseph D'Onofrio. School Liaison, Brian Howard. West Point Liaison, Joseph D'Onofrio. No motion is needed. Those positions, I would ask that you start tomorrow. I did street commissioner, correct, Brian?
Yeah.
May I have a motion to adjourn reorganization?
So moved.
Motion by trustee DeSalvo, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard. All in favor, may I have roll call?
Trustee Howard?
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay?
Aye.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Aye.
Trustee Ramus?
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio?
Aye. Motion carries. Now, I will open up our regular monthly meeting for June 1, 2020. And some of you have seen on TV, is this ready? Is this working? Okay. So we've been trying to get this working. It's okay. We're going to have a presentation. Some folks are here from the LA group. Tracy and Jeremy, I know that. We've been working very closely together on a lot of revitalization projects, whether it be Roe Park, what you're going to present tonight in other areas, and we have other things in the pipeline. So, Tracy, with this not working, you have to redo it, but I know you know the report.
Oh, I can do it.
All
I'll
right.
figure it out.
If you just let everyone know, we've had public,
Yes.
a
I
little
will do
background.
that.
Thank you.
Does anybody, I have the presentation, so if you can have a copy if you'd like it. I've got copies here. And I'm going to leave this with you. He's with you.
Thank you.
So, my name is Tracy Clothier. I'm with the LA Group. I'm a planner with the LA Group, and Jeremy Monte is also a planner. And tonight serves as the third and final public meeting for
Trace,
this.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is a good reason to, two things. I'd like the folks to know right at the beginning that this will be on the village website.
Yes.
Okay, so if you have to leave the room and come back and you miss something, it's on the village website.
Tomorrow.
It'll be there tomorrow. It'll be there sometime tomorrow, probably in the morning. It'll be on the village website. And we want your comments. Josh, this is so important. Is she being picked up by that microphone?
Yes,
or
she
no?
is. Yep.
You're sure?
Mhm.
Okay.
Am I okay over here?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So this is the third public meeting. Department of State allowed us to have this context because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we know that it's going to be on the website. There'll be a 2-week comment period that the mayor will announce at the end. And I'm going to briefly go through this. I'm not going to torture you with everything here, but I want you to know a local waterfront revitalization strategy is something we've been working with a committee. Murph's on it, and we've been working for a little over a year. And it says local waterfront revitalization. Well, it's a town-wide, it's a village-wide project. I want you to know that. We decided that because you're all part of the inland waterway boundary that New York State decided was the entire village, that we would plan the whole village. So it's a unified vision. It's here to provide you with a clear vision for the future, and it reflects community consensus. And it greatly enhances your ability to receive funding in the future. Why? Well, because it means that you've thought through projects. You've thought through what you want the future to be. And the state recognizes that and raises that up as a priority for funding. So we really focused on 3 things: the old marina site, which is your waterfront, the downtown, and public spaces. So I just want you to know that we used a lot of planning documents that have come before us. There's a list here, and I didn't even put on here the DRI activity where we held meetings, we held public meetings, and as part of that, it's all together, kind of a mixed menu here, and we took ideas from that as well. We had 2 other public workshops. One was on September 19th, and that's where we started to talk about the vision and the project and the resources here. And the second workshop was on January 9th of this year, and that's where we called it Exploring Alternatives. Well, basically, it was looking at all the opportunities that can happen throughout the community. So, happening? So you'll see the first piece we talk about is the old marina, and in your packet you'll see the old aerial photograph and the current conditions. And all of you remember how wonderful that was when it was a marina. Oh my gosh, you got it? So,
Looks like ice cream. Huh?
you saw it?
It's ice cream from Sonic. It's a banana split.
Oh, I see. Maybe. So anyway, the waterfront park, the old marina, so many obstacles down there, including ownership and what have you. But there's some inspirational images in here that we looked at in terms of, hey, you can overcome those obstacles, and that can be an amazing place for redevelopment. So the next steps with that are, you really can't see what I'm doing very well. Really, we're moving forward with the marina site, coordinating partnerships. Scenic Hudson and others are interested in being part of this. We're seeking potential funding opportunities, conducting an appraisal of the property. That's a real big move forward. Negotiating the price and acquiring the property eventually in some form. And then you do a detailed site design and engineering for the project and apply for funding for construction.
You know,
Let it go, turn the lights on.
You know what I think would be a better idea?
Yeah.
It's just like somebody trying to talk and somebody's got a bag of potato chips.
Yes.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you come sit over here?
Mhm.
And why don't you put the camera every time she's going
It's on.
to show something, show it on, so people at home can see her, whatever, that might be better. If you'd like to do that. And there's a mic right over there.
Listen, I'm really, this is too bad. We didn't have this.
That's okay. And then the mic is right over there. Jimmy, can you slide that chair up?
What do you want her to do, Laura?
Well, she's talking, but there's something.
Who's gonna show the page?
I can show you.
Yeah, but how much, will you pick it up if he holds it?
Can you zoom in on this? Can you see that?
Yep, that's as far as I can go.
So you can't see.
Oh, that's true.
Tracy.
No, I just zoomed in, I'm sorry,
You just
but that's
continued the way you
yeah.
were. So I don't want no more, let it go. Okay, I need to have
telling
some, whatever.
Whatever you want to do.
Go ahead, Trace.
So the second part to this is looking at downtown. And you all know the great assets of the downtown, relationship to West Point, location on the Hudson River, proximity to Fort Montgomery and Bear Mountain. And you've got a strong visitor base, and you've got a lot of strategic projects that are in the pipeline ready to go. So we developed a vision for the downtown that includes, making it a memorable downtown experience for visitors, developing some wayfinding and interpretive signage that people can follow and enjoy, attract a brewery business, develop a whole bunch of visitor itineraries that really make sense for visitors, increase the variety of restaurants, right? We gotta go away from pizza, we need more. And just generally bring more visitors to town. Do you want to do some, Jeremy? Yeah.
Sure, I don't think it's going to be able to pick up the audio from here.
So there are, we used inspirational images to think about what makes a strong public space. And the top one on page 15 is the Performance Center in the village of Lake George. Really has a powerful impact. Something like that in the downtown could be amazing. Also another water feature, you had one at Memorial Park, and getting one into Lady Cliff would be an amazing bookend for the site. The next page really looks at the night vibrancy. And I think that this is something that can be done using lights, using flowers, using flagging, using things that really give it some identity downtown and vibrancy. So at night, people are really enthusiastic about it. You want to come down here? We'll let Jeremy do a piece of this.
All right. So the next part is, as part of this project, we actually had 2 subcontractors. So a lot of the stuff about the downtown was based on 2 things. First, some research, some market research that was done about the downtown, including a downtown business survey, and using her expertise to inform what the opportunities were. The second part of that was the public input and what people wanted. When we provided these inspirational images, they provided us feedback on the recommendations we provided, and they sort of directed us towards the things that they wanted. And then the other part of that was the other subcontractors. We worked with a transportation firm, and they came up with a concept plan for a redesign of West Point Highway and Main Street. And the idea behind that is to bring more traffic to the downtown. So there are 4 fundamental parts. The first is to convert West Point Highway and Main Street into one-way roads, and that would prevent traffic from bypassing the downtown. West Point Highway would become the dedicated northbound travel into the downtown, and specifically right to West Point, and Main Street would be the way out. And it would basically force traffic to all come in through the downtown. The conceptual design also would incorporate bike lanes. It would create angled on-street parking along West Point Highway. It would increase on-street parking along Main Street slightly. It would also result in improvements to Station Hill Road. And as part of this, it would also create additional public space. So not only would you have better traffic flow, but you'd also have more parking and more public space that could be adapted. All right, so then on the next page, there is an image of the conceptual layout of what this would look like. And for people at home, when they look online at the presentation, they can take a look at that design, and it's also included in the report.
So let me just point something out in this picture. So again, going with one way into West Point and one way out.
Yes.
Of course, that would have to have, and I've started discussions with West Point and DOT, and of course, the business people have to be on board also. But this green area here, as we know what this is, but this is part of the parking lot, lot 2, where the farmer's market is. This goes from Veterans, this goes from Purple Heart Memorial Drive, the ramp, up to across from the parsonage of the Holy Innocents Church. That would all be green, which still could be used for farmer's market or other things. So I just want to say what that's about.
Yes, and basically it would be an extension of Lady Cliff Park in a way. And
Exactly.
you could also use that greenway if you had a sidewalk, it could be a pedestrian access. So people who would get out of their cars, they could go right onto that sidewalk, access the crosswalk, and get right onto Main Street. So improve pedestrian safety and flow as well as traffic flow. So it's kind of best of both worlds. But again, this is a conceptual design, and within the report for all these recommendations, we provided sort of a preliminary project sheet outlining what the next steps would be to get these projects moving forward, similar to what the mayor was describing. I'm sorry. That page was,
Yeah, it's not in the packet. That's okay.
oh, it's not, okay.
We got every other page, so we have odd pages.
Oh, interesting, okay.
Okay, that's okay, I just.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, as I
You
said
didn't rehearse
before,
enough.
well, as I said before, it's all gonna be available online, and in the full report, in the appendix is gonna be their full report, and they have many different angles and much more detailed images of this, so everyone will have the opportunity to take a look at that. All right, so,
With that new layout, does that increase the parking or decrease the parking?
in their design, there's actually a slight increase.
Okay.
But of course, that is conceptual, but they have all of years of experience with this, so based on their design, they think they could increase parking slightly. And I think a lot of that has to do with the angled parking. That's how they were able to do it.
Slightly like 20 spaces, and is there a number given?
To be honest, off the top of my head, I'm not sure the exact number, but it's probably less than that, I would say a
Less
little
than
bit
20?
less than that. But in the report, it would detail that.
Any increases, but.
So southbound would be 2 lanes, one way, 2 lanes?
I believe it would be. No, it would not. So just the northbound would be. So the southbound would still be would basically be a one-way, but there would be more on-street parking, I believe.
Yeah, you'd be pushing, I think you'd be having diagonal parking on northbound lane.
On the northbound,
Which will
you
push
have the
towards-
diagonal
yeah.
and also in the median, so in the middle. And then on the side, it would still be the same as it is the parallel parking.
A lot of parking on West Point Highway.
Yeah.
Yes. So all along the median, all along the middle, so. All right, so when we move on, we move to kind of the specific projects that we get into. And really the way we organize this is we wanted to organize it top down. So you start with the high level planning, the first stage is really that you need to get done, and then you get into implementing the specific recommendations into the specific projects, and that's kind of just a general overview of what the planning process is all about. So the first step is to sort of do a high-level economic development, branding, and marketing strategy, and that sort of sets the basis for every other project you want to do, because you kind of want to set you want to identify your strengths and weaknesses and set a unified marketing and branding strategy, so as you're implementing things, it's all falling into this one strategy. It's all part of this common brand. And that's very important to set at first, because then if you don't set that at first, you can sort of have a mishmash of projects going on that don't really connect together. And if you planned it ahead of time, not only will it seem more cohesive, but it also increases your funding opportunities into the future. If you're going out and seeking grant money, knowing that you've done this planning, just like anything, if you have a business plan laid out, people are more likely to give you money. And it's really just that simple. And once you move on to the next thing, we brought forward the IDA in the Highland Falls Business Incubator project that they've been working on. And the only reason why this is really high up is because it seemed like a lot of work has already been done to move that forward. And the value of putting something like this in the report is that if you want to seek funding to assist with this project, including this in the report is vital to that. Because if you don't list it in here and you look for the state for money, they're not going to give it to you if they don't see that you've laid out what the project is. And so that's essential to why we put it in here, even though so much has already been moved forward with that.
So let me just touch on that. You're correct, there has been a lot of work. The project, the AI, the artificial intelligence will go into the Key Bank building. That has been purchased. And several meetings with the IDA over at Stewart Field, and they have, as Trustee DeSalvo knows, they have a couple of folks that are earmarked for this project. This, believe it or not, I don't call it a silver lining to the virus. I don't think there's any silver lining to the virus, but I will tell you that the virus has opened up new markets of research that have called here to come here. and they actually want to come here badly. And so those kinds of meetings are being set up for me to sell the village, for the IDA to help these entrepreneurs, if you will. Some of them are more than entrepreneurs. Some of them have a place already for just a little further south over the Jersey border and want to come here. So this is a home. This is a home run. It's not a home run if it happens. It's going to happen. It is in the process of happening. So it's a home run. So thank you. And it's all part of the revitalization.
Yes, and business development, economic development, it's a central component of this plan. And it's why we brought on the subcontractor to speak to these things. So if we move on quickly, the next is a village signage plan, and it connects very well to the following project, which is a gateway improvement plan. And it ties to that first project, which was doing that economic development tourism marketing plan. Once you set this brand, once you set the marketing materials, you tie it together with some village signage, some beautification projects, and with gateway improvements. You know, the first impression people have when they come into the village is those gateways, and you want not only it to be bright and inviting, but you want it to tie to the general marketing branding for the whole entire community. What's going on at the waterfront ties to what's going on in the downtown, ties to what's going on in the public spaces and parks, all with this beautiful signage. And not only does it do that, but it makes it much easier for people to navigate around the village. A lot of things we heard in some of the other studies was especially from the cadet surveys and a couple of the other surveys, was that people just didn't know where things were. And one of the things our subcontractor did is she did some online research, look at like what kind of online resources there are for tourism, and they were few and far between. And so making it easier for people who aren't from here to navigate around is essential. And that's really the fundamental part of that.
So, only to keep up with you, okay, so I don't have to bring this all up later. So
Sure.
while we haven't accomplished all of this, I want everyone to know that we are on down the road a little bit. We know we need a kiosk. So folks, tourists can go and look at the kiosk, and there's a map, and it tells you where something is that you're looking for with a whole directory inside the kiosk. There's 5 signs. 4 of them are welcome to Holland Falls, and the 5th one is a shop local sign that are in desperate need of renovation, repairs, brightening up, maybe some new wood, definitely painting on all of them, and flower gardens, bushes, shrubberies around each one that they don't have them now. And I've asked a local architect who's coming in to see me this week. I gave him the areas, and he's coming back with recommendations for each area. So besides painting and replacing rotted wood, we're going to make them look a lot prettier with flowers, flower bulbs, annuals, perennials, and shrubbery. So we're starting this.
That's great to hear. Yeah, and so I guess the next step of that is a little bit more planning, and it's the village zoning code update, and that also ties to page 20. I believe that's 26, which is the Main Street Design Guidelines and Facade Improvement Program. Again, it's just codifying the ideas that we are discussing. It's going from this to a comprehensive planning process, codifying the land use decisions you want, making it so everything's solidified. So the ideas you come up with throughout this process, and how you want to make the downtown beautiful, how you want to make sure the type of uses you want are in the locations they are, that has to go through this process. And it's really just that simple. Before you start creating new projects and you're developing, you want to make sure everything is laid out the way you want, so that way you don't have more headache later in the future. And that's really that point of that. The Project 12, which is on page 25, is the Municipal Center, and this is actually a project that came up in our public meetings and with our discussions with the mayor and the advisory committee. The former elementary school is a potential property to create a municipal center, and it could be potentially used for another use, but we know it has been sitting vacant for a while and underutilized. And this is a type of project that has been done elsewhere in other communities with school buildings, and it's something to consider. I don't know, I don't think anything has moved forward with that at this time, but it is something that was brought up and people in the public seem to actually like that idea. So we brought it up.
That building on Mountain Avenue came up quite a bit,
Mhm.
yeah. And just to stay with 24, 25, and 26, we know that we need to help the businesses on Main Street, especially now, more than ever. But anything you see out there for facades or signage, we've done very well in both of those before. We've gotten grants for signage and we've gotten grants for facades. And I could easily just point out how many businesses and I can point to the signs. But you know to call me right away. I know you know that, but we're looking.
Yes, and grants are problematic at the moment, as you probably know, they've all sort of stalled. Main Street grant, et cetera, is all part of the consolidated funding application in July, which has not been announced.
Yeah.
The governor's holding all of that until he really understands
Yeah.
whether he has that money,
And-
indeed,
and-
to offer to people, so.
And listen, I think he's making the right decision because I know I would do that. I want to give grants out, but I need to see my own bookkeeping first before I can do that. So I don't. But I do think it will open up again. And and the CFA and the DRI are things we really have to, because that's big money, you know. But as we all know, there are other organizations that I want us to pay attention to, like Greenway. You know, now I know they're smaller grants. I understand that. But we have a need for anything that's out there.
Yeah, and they're also on hold.
Yeah.
So we don't really know what's going to happen with all of those. The only thing I have been told is that when they do open up, they're going to be highly focused on job development or business development,
Sure.
that kind of thing.
Sure.
So what you're talking about
Sure.
may indeed be there, but it is all about getting people to work, and that's where they're going to focus.
Okay.
All right, so I guess quickly wrap this up. The page 27, we talked about a visitor and welcoming center and museum, and this is actually a project that was built out through the DRI process, I believe, through some public engagement through that, and it ties again to the tourism.
We need to get a welcoming center, and we need to get, which is right on the other side here on the second floor, we need to get the Historical Society downstairs. Anyone who goes to see her is at awe. Why didn't I come up here before? I didn't know you had all this. And then some of those people actually donate. It's really, everything, it's great. So yeah, we got to get it downstairs.
And I know we had also discussed through the DRI process the potential Molly Pitcher exhibit was a thought that had been come up in some meetings. So ways to make it unique and special to this location, those are essential as well. And that was one of the suggestions. There is another thing that came through the DRI and through the other public meetings was, as we sort of discussed before, issues with parking. And so one project we included that was discussed was a downtown parking garage. And obviously this would have to go through further phases of pre-development. This is just a conceptual idea. But if downtown parking is concerned, there is a potential to locate and construct a new parking garage that could maximize parking opportunities and make hopefully somewhere closer to the entrance to the downtown, so we would reduce people having to drive all the way through to find parking, and then people could get out and there would be no people walking on the street, and that's always what you want, especially for all these storefronts. And tying back to the downtown beautification, a lighting redesign that came up as well, and that's not only about creating a uniform design with that, but it's also a beautification project. A lot of the Cobra lights, while efficient, are not always the most attractive, and there are some places like in Lady Cliff Park that have some more pedestrian-oriented lights, and as you probably saw from the other and inspirational images, that sort of pedestrian oriented lighting can really capture you, and it makes the downtown a little more attractive. And there are a lot of opportunities out there to transition to that. I know right now it's a little uncertain, but many have done it before, and it really have a huge impact. So I think that does it for the downtown. Tracy, do you want to go back and talk about some of the parks visions?
Yep. This is the third park where we talk about parks and trails. And so the Rowe Park, Lady Cliff, and Memorial are your main parks. You already know about Rowe Park and all the updates to it. We would like to, one of the main things is to connect it into the wooded area next door to it. And we're looking for grants that will be able to develop trails in there and expand that whole area. And basically for the parks, it's improved accessibility. It's a big thing. It's easy to get that paid for through grants because that's their focus right now. So that's part of the future here. The trails vision, bike paths, enter public meetings, lots of chit chat about bike paths. People would really like to see a bike path, a dedicated path between Fort Montgomery and the village downtown, so that you're riding along the ridge, and you can see the water and have access to the village. Hiking trails, the main thing is hiking trails up in Rowe Park, of course, and then a trail between behind McDonald's that goes down to the waterfront park. And on page, oh golly, I guess it's 32, is a concept for trail building behind McDonald's. You'll see it, McDonald's is in the upper right-hand corner. And as you go down Station Hill Road, there's a parking area in that trapezoid. And then you can see how we all know it's steep, but there's all kinds of ways of developing trails in through here and then tying them down into the waterfront parcel.
I can't help but chuckle a little bit. We know it's steep. Yeah, yes, it is. But for the folks that live here, since the COVID-19 has been around, on any given day, not just the weekends anymore, when you go up to 9W, it's pretty high up there. You know the mountain I'm talking about? 9W, Storm King. There's hundreds of people there.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Going
hiking
up.
is huge right now.
So it's good.
It's huge
It's
right
okay.
now.
And this particular property behind McDonald's down to the river is very, very interesting. And even with history itself.
I've heard that of the famous rock climbing and
Yep.
waterfalls and what have you. So the next page on 33 really kind of looks at how Highland Brook could be conceived. This was done by the students in a planning class, landscape architectural class, and they just did this concept. So you see reality, which is Highland Brook is all closed in with brush and rocks and trees and hard to see. And this concept opens it up and shows you people gaining access to the stream and what have you. It's just a mind opener that it doesn't have to be the way it is.
Well, I find Highland Brook very interesting also, and I think there's a lot of communities that would love to have a brook run through the middle of their village. I think that's an asset.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find it an asset,
Yeah.
but we need to highlight it. And yes, it's challenges. Some of it's private property, some of it's encased with homes on both sides, but some of it's open, so.
Yeah, I've seen some of the pretty parts of it down towards the river. So there are several projects here. I'm not going to go over them all. We already know about Rowe Park, Lady Cliff, I spoke about, and Memorial Park. And coming down to the end here, there's on page 38, a townwide trails master plan. And that means really looking at biking and hiking throughout the community. How do you make it bike friendly? And our transportation consultant spent a great deal of time up by Fairgate and down into the downtown, watching cyclists come out of West Point, a lot of them, and watching how they, and pedestrians, and watching how they work around. And there really is very little safety or consideration for bicycles in the community. A lot of ways for improvement, and that's where we thought this particular project could be funded that would really look at all of those aspects throughout the community.
So there's a company that has a sales pitch into West Point for bikes with motors, small motors, not
Okay.
motorcycles,
Yeah.
to get around. And those of us that live here know that probably the number one problem that West Point has is parking, lack of. Very big. And so they're looking for maybe these type of bikes that have a small motor, and they would allow them to come down here at lunchtime, where now no one will leave because their parking space will not be there. Sean, you know that. We all know that, those of us that have lived here. And so they have a discussion going on with these bikes. So that could be big for us down here.
Well, it'd be a nice cooperative project with West Point.
Wouldn't it be? Yeah.
And, you know, non-controversial, just. So the next page on 40 really is a summary of your projects and costs and priorities. You know, your project costs, I said. And really, it's not about cost, it's about priorities. I should have taken that word out. These are the 17 projects that Jeremy and I spoke to you about. They're in the document, they're online, and we've identified types of funding opportunities that are out there for these projects. You know, each one is going to require some kind of a match. It could be in kind, it probably will be a little bit of cash. And all of this is changing, and the CFA applications are 70, most of them are 75-25. Maybe that 25% match goes away this year. We don't know. But anyway, what this shows you is that you've thought it through, you've prioritized these projects, and this is going to make a huge difference in applying for money. And I already spoke about the next page, which really is about the CFA, the Consolidated Funding Application. It's just, we just don't know. And the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, DRI that they call, that is also not announced, and that's a month that's already for.
That's the $10 million we apply for each year.
Right. It's highly, highly competitive, and
And so are we.
right, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. The most applications in the past with the DRI have gone to cities, and they've pretty much gone through the cities, haven't they?
Yeah, they've gone to cities. Well, not around here, in the Mid-Hudson.
Yeah,
But further up, they did go to a couple villages.
yes. But they're running out of
Yeah,
big cities, so it's coming down
yeah.
so that the competition will be a little more fair for you guys. So the next steps for this LWRS, we call it, is to get some comments from the public, get some comments from yourselves, and give them to Mayor Joe, and we'll incorporate them into the final report. It'll be posted on the website, and the village will then, at your July meeting, I believe?
Well, there's a lot now there's a lot to digest, especially for the board. It'll be sometime this summer we'll adopt the plan.
Good.
I do have some of these out into the public. I delivered one before I came here tonight, looking for comments. We'll see what we get. Again, it's on our website, and we'll keep saying, go to the website, it's there. And you can email, you can stop by, you can mail a question, whatever, a comment, however, there's many ways to tell us what you think. But yeah, we want feedback.
And the report itself has an executive summary that public members can just focus on and get the gist of the whole thing. there's a seeker component, we need to address an environmental assessment, type 2
Yes.
seeker, and I will,
You can help
help
us
you
with
with
that.
that, address that. And you can do that at the time of adoption, that would be fine. But it is an official planning document.
Yes.
And so, it does need to be adopted by the community.
And
Approved is one thing, adopted is another, for a planning document. So,
And folks that know me know that I am, when I get a report of any kind, it does not go on my bookcase downstairs. I don't want to spend money to put a report on the shelf. So, and this particular document and what it talks about, all the initiatives, is very, very dear to me. I've spent a lot of my years wanting these kinds of things to happen. It's our turn. We should be. And so I will keep this on the front burner with the board, and they'll keep it on the front burner with me and the public, and something will come. Some of this we can do.
yes, you can.
We can do it. Some of it we have started.
There's low-hanging fruit.
There's
And
low-hanging
I
fruit.
think that you heard some from Jeremy, particularly the lighting. There's a lot of programs through
Yeah.
National Grid that are ongoing that you won't have to wait for, and that's a private company. Beautification projects are little things that make huge impacts
Yeah.
to people, huge impacts.
We have the beautification thing going on, with Vision, with the Village Beautification Committee, even local residents. There's a lady, on a Sunday morning, you come downtown, she's weeding. She's been doing it for years. Nobody asks her, she just does it.
Great.
Lighting, we have new LED lighting on Main Street. We have all the holiday lights in the trees that we're leaving lit now until the virus is over with, that are really for the holidays, but we're going to leave them lit all year.
Nice.
And so all that kind of stuff is happening.
So this is a huge accomplishment for the community. When I first met Joe, he told me, I have ideas. People have ideas, and they're all over the place. And what this does is it organizes those ideas, right? It says, hey, we've thought it through, we put it out there to the public, they've given us feedback, and this is what we'd like to do. So now you organize all that. It's a big accomplishment. Communities have a really hard time with this stuff. So I hope you had some fun with it. And Joe and I are working on a grant strategy to take projects. They're in here, some ideas for funding, but we're going to take each one and develop an actual grant strategy for it, so that some of them can move forward. We don't know what the state's going to do, but we're still going to keep going with it, with what we know. So congratulations on finishing it. It's a real accomplishment, and I hope you feel that it was.
Oh, I love it. But let me ask, does anyone have anything right now for Tracy? Or Jeremy? Jenny, okay? Okay. That's great.
Thank you.
Sorry that
Thank you.
Go get some pizza.
Go get some pizza, and remember, this is online on
Yep.
your website, or
Yep.
will be tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Will be tomorrow. So,
I urge the community, if you've never been to our website, which is great, go to it for this. And you can also stop in Village Hall, and we'll give you one of these copies if you want a hard copy. And Tracy, I want to thank you and the LA group. Jeremy in the back here, Jim.
Kim,
You've visited, you have come down many times to visit us with public meetings. We had them at the senior center. They went over very well. You brought boards with you, pictures. But for me, many times, I'm sure they said the mayor's on the phone. He probably said, again?
never.
But we worked very closely. You're easy to work with, and I appreciate it.
Good. Bye.
I appreciate it. I'm not the easiest person to work with, but you are. Thank you.
We'll see you again.
Thank you. You will. You will. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Mayor.
for listening.
Did we
we get a
Yes.
very good print.
Elise, that's that. It's nice, it's really nice, you really only touched on it, you know? Okay, all right. Thank you for that time and the attention. And on the agenda next is to approve minutes from May 18, 2020. It was a regular meeting, and then we had a special meeting on May the 28th, 2020.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Raymond.
I'll second it, but I just have a quick question on the 28th meeting. In the minutes, it says 15,000 transfer, but the thing said 45. I just want to make sure is it 40?
It's 15.
It's-
Yeah, we found out.
So this is 15, not 45. Thank you.
You okay? Okay. Trustee DeSalvo seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, I'd like to introduce a local law amending Article 6 of the zoning law modification for special exemption regulation to wireless communication facilities located on village property. Elise, you want to say anything about this?
No, we've discussed it before, it's just a modification of the local wireless communication regulations that essentially, the substantive thing it does is exempt the village, exempts those facilities located on village property.
On village property. So be it resolved that an introductory local law titled amending Article 6 of the zoning law modifying the applicability of special exemption regulations to wireless communication facilities located on village property. Be and hereby is introduced by Mayor D'Onofrio before the Board of Trustees of the Village of Highland Falls, the County of Orange, and the State of New York. Be it further resolved that copies of the proposed local law be laid upon the desk of each member of the Board of Trustees, which it has been. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees shall hold a public hearing of said proposed local law at the Village Hall, 303 Main Street, Village of Highland Falls, at 7 p.m. on June 15, 2020. Be it further resolved that the village clerk shall publish, or cause to be published, a public notice in the official newspaper of the Village of Highland Falls no later than 10 days prior thereto. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard. May I have a second?
Second.
May I, trustee DeSalvo, may I have roll call?
Trustee Howard,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee DeSalvo,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries.
I will refer this to the county, as we refer to the county,
Please.
and it has to be for the county.
And when will you do that?
I'll do that tomorrow,
Okay, to both?
yes.
Okay, perfect. Next on the agenda is to approve the authorization for the mayor to sign the Thayer Gate Spa grading plan as recommended by the village engineer. We've had this now a couple of months. I think you have the letter? Okay, so now would be the time. We're going to hold $450,000 in a letter of credit. That'll be in escrow with the village. That figure is based on Todd, our engineer, who's here tonight, doing the research. That will hold us harmless with that amount of money, $450,000. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Livesey. May I have roll call?
Trustee Howard,
Aye.
trustee Livesey,
Aye.
trustee DeSalvo,
Aye.
trustee Ramus,
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. That also will go to the town attorney and to the planning board.
I did speak with Justin today and mentioned that we have a letter developed that we will incorporate into the developer's agreement. He will be sending me tomorrow, we discussed various other things that the planning board would like to see in that developer's agreement. So once I get those from him, I'll incorporate these as well as suggestions from the planning board.
Elise, do you think it's right to send it to Mazer, or should that be addressed to the actual planning board, you think?
Mazer is the engineer for the project. and
I think
that's-
this is fine.
Okay.
As long as you've seen, and you are CCing the planning board.
Yep.
Okay? Okay, Tom?
Yes. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is authorization for the mayor to sign an amendment request form for COVID-19 cost increases as recommended by the village engineer. So, again, this is a duplicate. We already put in for $12,200 under another program that the county is running with money that the community development block grant folks have. We put in for $12,200, which would bring us up to the low bidder's price to do West Point Highway sidewalks. And that was also the grant that we put in for food, $30,000, and $20,000 for PPE equipment for the virus. But this is another program that the county has for community development additional money. But again, it's only for projects that are open. And so this is the only project we have open. So that's why we've put in with both. So I feel, can I say I feel safe we'll get one? I hope. So that's what this next thing is again, it's a recommendation from our village engineer, and I have to sign the letter per your recommendation. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee DeSalvo, second by trustee Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. That'll be signed tomorrow. Next on the agenda is, again, authorizing the mayor to sign Comp Alliance member participation agreement for fiscal year 2021. And what it is, it's the workman's comp agreement. That's I don't want to say that's all it is, but that's all it is. It's workman's comp. It's an annual document that I sign.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much. Next, you have a letter here from Tim Doherty. How many years, Gina, has Tim worked?
Just about 11, I think.
Around 11 years he's worked here. For the last several years he's been down the wastewater treatment plant, but he has submitted a resignation from employment with the Village of Highland Falls, and he appreciates the opportunity to be a member of the wastewater treatment plant team. Signed, Tim Doherty, dated May 21, 2020. It's effective tomorrow, June 2. We should accept it.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We have bills and claims for fiscal year 2020, $12,569.26. I'm going to do these separate, if we could approve that.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee DeSalvo. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The second bills and claims would be for fiscal year 2020, 2021. $162,802.01.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Howard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Ramus. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We need to go into executive session, but just to say a few things here, and then we'll go around the room. So I'll give a virus update, if you will. The numbers as of today at 3 p.m. It's important that you know that even less than hours, every hour, things change, numbers change. But as of 3 p.m. today in Orange County, cases, 10,498. 10,498, up 2. Now that's, it's up 2. Those 2 new people. But the numbers are going down. I can say that to you. The numbers are going down. That was very high. It used to be in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. In the hospital, this number is going down. There's 90. Recovery, 1,237. That's going up. Another number that's going up in a good way is ICU beds. There's in this county, 76 ICU beds are available. That's very good right now. A number that's not is deaths. 454. 454. That's up 8 since Saturday. That's not good. Tested in Orange County, 49,317. Yesterday, 713 were tested. Out of the 713 that were tested, 21% were found to be positive. I will tell you that that 21% is the down number. It's been 22 the day before, it's been 25, it's been 33. So little by little. Of course, high unemployment in the transportation industry, school, buses, etc. As of today at 3 o'clock, the hope, and I say hope, can't go to the bank yet, but the hope is that Phase 2 opens up Tuesday, a week from tomorrow. Phase 2 would be professional services, hair salons, barber shops. I need a haircut so bad. Retail. So we hope next Tuesday. When you get your hair cut, you have to wear a mask. Now, I don't know how they're going to do over here, but that's not my rule. That's the governor's rule. We'll be able to figure it out, though. Maybe by next week, outside dining for restaurants.
It's gonna be tough.
Now, I've had a few meetings with the local restaurants on Main Street, and I will be presenting a plan to the village board to approve for outside dining for the restaurants. I have something in mind, and it's being worked on right now again with the Main Street restaurants. I will come back to the board with it, even if I have to have a special meeting on it. Supermarkets, they're hit and miss with meats and paper goods. Pools, public pools, like the Roe Park pool, at this point, 10 people. Now, the pool itself with lifeguards is run by the town, and I have an email here from last Wednesday to the recreation director who wanted to know if the pool was going to be open, but that we need, it can be open under 10 people, but the town also has to participate in their approval, i.e. through at least lifeguards. Is Jack over there? No, he's not, okay. I wanted to know, we got to get the pool a little bit ready with chemicals, etc. Maybe it is already.
And what phase is that? Second phase too?
That's now.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually now. We just did renovations to the pool. It looks beautiful. So that's in the works. Department of Motor Vehicle here in Orange County opens up next Monday, a week from today, June the 8th, by appointment only. I did another 30-day state of emergency, which will allow different things, but what I'm interested in, this has to be done to get FEMA reimbursements for money that we spend, whether it be on equipment, whether it be on overtime with the police department, for whatever different reasons. If it's related to the virus, we'll be able to claim it with FEMA. As I do every meeting, it only takes 30 seconds. I'll read the restaurants that are open and if they have pickup or delivery. Andy's Restaurant has pickup and delivery. Barnstormer in Fort Montgomery has pickup. Bear Mountain Pizza in Fort Montgomery has pickup and delivery. Hacienda down the road here has pickup and delivery. Mama Bonita's, a couple doors up, pickup. Park Restaurant, pickup and delivery. West Point Pizza, pickup and delivery. Richie's Little Place, Fort Montgomery, pickup. We need to support these folks, so tell your wife you're cooking tonight and go get something. Battle Heroes. I've named Battle Heroes every week. And I just want to go through this list. The first week was the town sanitation department and the school personnel who give out meals. Jim, was it 3 times a week?
Yeah.
If not more. Second week was Walgreens down the street here and My Town Marketplace. The third week was the Holland Falls Police Department, the Holland Falls Fire Department, Town of Highlands Police Department, Fort Montgomery Police Fire Department, and the Town of Highlands Ambulance Corps. Week 4 was Rudy Shade. Rudy Shade does a lot that folks don't know. And the Fort Montgomery teachers. Week 5 was the food pantries, the Holy Innocents and Sacred Heart and all the workers. Week 6 was the county executive, Steve Newhouse, for all he has done. Week 7, local clergy for all they do. Week 8, DPW crew here in the village of Highland Falls. Week 9, Colonel Marson, the garrison commander at West Point. He has helped me, meaning helped the community out more than I can go public with, to be honest with you. Last week we did the children of the community for all they have been doing. And I will name this week tomorrow with the News of the Highlands. From New York Conference of Mayors, I've received some state approval on numerous COVID-related bills that have passed both houses. There's a bill that was passed for death benefits related to COVID. Next one was budgetary flexibility for local governments. The next one was the extension of building permits and planning and zoning approvals. The next was property tax deferment and installation of payments. The next one was the extension of the property tax deadlines. The next one was the IDA loan authorization. These are great. These are very good. The next one was a moratorium on termination of utility services, so you can't be terminated. Next was LoSAP. Those that are in the fire department and ambulance corps know about the LoSAP. And the next was an Emergency Rent Relief Act. So those are all good, I think, good bills that passed and the folks of the state of New York can take advantage of. The Orange County Chamber. The Orange County Chamber has been in existence a long time, and its membership is in the hundreds. They're large, they're active, they meet all the time, they participate with businesses. It's a needed organization, and they have a program that's going to come out soon, which I'll let everyone know about with PPE, meaning the mask, hand sanitizer, and gloves. But the good news here is it won't only be for members of the Orange County Chamber, it will be for any business that needs this PPEs for when they open up. West Point graduation. I received notification today from the garrison commander that they will not allow anyone on West Point June 13, 2020. Of course, the cadets that are going to graduate, which are already there and are actually quarantined. So the reason for me letting you know this is what we thought would happen is going to happen, and which I don't know exactly what this means, but those folks will be here. Is the chief over here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Trustee DeSalvo, myself, and Chief Scott will be, I've asked Chief to set up a meeting with the Sheriff's Department, the State Police, West Point personnel on West Point graduation and for the sole purpose of Highland Falls, Main Street. So I will let the residents know very, very soon, at least through the paper, of how we're going to deal with that day and the influx of people with the COVID-19 going on here in the village of Highland Falls. It's a very, very big concern of mine. I've been talking about it with Chief Scott and other folks for a number of weeks now, not knowing if West Point would allow or not allow the parents and guests on, but as of today, they pulled the plug and they will not allow them on West Point. I'm sorry.
Guess. I think the parents are going to be there. But the guess,
Not as of today.
I read the same thing. But it's okay. It's all right. It's a little, it's not worded, it's worded a little bit.
Anyone want to know anything about the Orange County Chamber, please give me a call or email me, and I'll tell you about the personal protective equipment. There will be a car parade for the O'Neill graduates on Friday, June 26th. They will line up in their cars over at Roe Park. They will leave Roe Park starting at 5 o'clock. They will leave Roe Park at 6, come down Walnut, make a left onto Main, make a right onto West Point Highway, make a left up by Southgate Tavern and come down Main Street and go up Walnut and go around and park exactly where they parked before they started the parade. There is a part 2. It's tentative right now, pending New York State and Department of Public Health guidelines. But something could happen after the parade on the field. So it's all being proposed and worked on. As far as the parade will happen, as far as the celebration at the park, it's a wait and see, but plans are being put forward. I am happy to report, I'm not happy to report that our potholes in the road condition down at the other end of town here are still the way they are, being it's a New York State road. And trying to get DOT to fix it, and also on top of Mountain Avenue when you enter the village is terrible. But they have decided to spend money on the bridge out at 9W and 293, which is a concrete bridge and it is decaying. So they are out there working on that bridge. They don't say how long it will take, but they did say they started Thursday, May 28th, subject to weather will be the completion date. So at least some money's coming close to Highland Falls. Merv, I went over to Roe Park not knowing that, Little League Field, not knowing you and your crew were over there fixing the disgraceful
A lot of things.
Little League. Here's a picture of, I can't say that you're doing work, because you're just standing there, but maybe you were just standing there for the picture. And who's that, Greg Marr and
Greg Moore and Ryan Falk.
Ryan Falk? So that's for you,
Appreciate it.
okay? Here's another picture that you came out on Memorial Day.
Yep,
What is the name of the Civil War group?
124th,
The 124th.
Orange Blossoms.
Orange Blossoms.
New York. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you for being here that day. It was exactly what I wanted.
Thank you for having the memorial.
Yeah, it was-
No, I mean that. Thank you for having
You're
the
welcome.
memorial. That was really good for you to have that.
Chief Sullivan? Chief, with 911, every once in a while, I think we have to do this. Can you ask me? Where were you, downstairs?
Smoking cigarette.
Well, you need a haircut too.
Can't wait till next Tuesday.
With the guys, 3 shifts, every street, yada yada. Let's start making a list of who doesn't have numbers. We need numbers,
And then-
and apartment numbers too.
And give it to you or right to the building department?
Um,
I can send both. I can send them.
yeah. Okay,
All right, sir.
take a week, by then we can cover it all.
Probably gonna need 2.
All right, whatever you need,
COVID and long hair.
whatever you need, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. I met with the town supervisor, as I told you I would, or was suggested that I do, and they are replacing the shed at the pool. There's 2 sheds there. We have water pumps and chemicals in one. It's in very, very good shape. The town has one for the lifeguard that has equipment and stuff in there, a phone, I think a little refrigerator. It's in very, very bad shape, and he said that they would look to replace it. I have a scam, Chief? Sorry. I have a scam here, and I've heard of this scam recently, a few months ago. I don't want to say who, but a nice lady, 95 years old. And she got a call on her phone and said that there was something wrong with her grandson. He was in the hospital, and they were looking for money. You've heard of this.
There's different variations of it, but yeah.
Yeah, this is a scam, so all I'm saying, anyone gets any phone calls, you have to check it out. Call the police station, maybe call another relative to see if something did happen to someone in your
I'd
family.
say call the 7-digit number and then let
Downstairs?
Yes.
Yeah, so the chief's saying to me, call 446-4911. That's the easiest one to
Whether
remember.
it's someone
49.
injured or they're in jail,
Yeah.
call us, because that's another
I
variation.
want you to have
of
this,
it.
chief. You know, they're preying on old people. That's easy.
We do it on
That's-
everybody, unfortunately, it's the elderly that
All right.
are responding.
Please. Thank you. And my last thing is this. I'm going to hand out masks again and hand sanitizer, but it'll be announced. I was thinking about doing it Saturday, Brian. I looked to you because I know you always help me, and but I'm not sure. So I don't know about this Saturday, but I have received some masks and some hand sanitizer to hand out free to the public. And it'll happen soon, and I'll let everyone know. And so we're through the winter, the grayness of the winter, and the construction, etc., and everything going on, and the virus, and the stores being shut, but we still have to continue business. All the beautiful hanging baskets are hung now on Main Street. They look beautiful. Today, the highway department put the sidewalk planters on the sidewalk, and within a day or two, the flowers will be in those. New street furniture was ordered in the last 2 days, new benches for Main Street and trash receptacles for Main Street. Everything will match. Crosswalks at the north end will be done soon. The black ceiling at the north end will be done, Main Street will be done soon. And when I say soon, within the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, probably more like 4.
3?
6?
4. But no more than that.
No, we're working on it.
We don't, it shouldn't be any more than that. Okay, so some folks complain about Central Hudson. I know, listen, they've run into a lot of rock out here, unlike the north end, a lot. And they're not moving too quick. And I know it's noisy, and I know it's for sure it's an inconvenience. But it really needs to be done. And once it's done, new sidewalks, new street, everything, new planters, new hanging baskets, new everything, you're going to look just like the north end. But I want everyone to know that the existing gas line that's being replaced is under the sidewalk right outside this building, all the way down. Very, very, very inches from buildings, from your restaurant, from your shop. A major gas leak, you wouldn't want that gas line there. And so it's been moved out into the center of the street. And these particular gas lines are very, very, very old. And so they just needed to be replaced. And what most folks don't realize is that utilities here in the village pay assessment on whatever it is that they have. In this particular case, the gas line. Central Hudson pays assessment just like we all do on our homes. And it's a substantial amount. And with all the new gas lines going in, and the village clerk knows this because I've talked to her about it, is the procedure to get the assessment raised, because we went from an old pipe to a new pipe. You know, it's just like when you do renovations on your house. You tear down the old and you put up a new and your assessment goes up. The same thing with the gas line. So I'm gonna get as much money as I can out of the Central Hudson to go towards the assessments, which go towards our budget. Brian?
Some questions came up about masks. We've had meetings with department heads. They know about masks, our employees know about masks. Last time they were working on asphalt, they lifted their mask off because it was very warm. They're going to do that. Same with the gentlemen who are working out here in Main Street. When you're jackhammering and you get the dust, they're going to be taking off their masks for a breath. They put them back on. They all have masks. We've asked them if they have masks. They all do. That doesn't mean that once in a while somebody won't take their mask off. The general rule is you need to have masks and be 6 feet away when you're doing work. So you may see them taking a breather once in a while, but they do know the rules. Restaurants. Can we wait at a bar when we're waiting for food? If we order takeout, do we have to wait outside? Why can't people sit at the counter if we are 6 feet apart? We can go to Walmart, but we can't go to Kohl's or church. I don't know the answer to that. But with the restaurants, people are saying, you know, people are sitting at the counter and they're eating. Joe, you said you're going to be talking to the restaurant.
Yes.
I went past Andy's and I forgot to call ahead, and I stuck my head in and I yelled, "I'd like a hobo sandwich," which are great. And then I went, I sat down and I was reading the paper, and someone has made a comment about that. You're right. I should have waited outside, but I didn't. I forgot. So we need to reinforce the rules. But there are some rules that are very nebulous. People don't know. Certain places you wait outside, then you get called in, and vice versa. So we'll be doing that.
So, Brian, let me just, if you have more, that's fine.
No,
Let me
that's
just address something. And so, you know, folks, there's a couple folks that like to point out, you're doing something wrong. You don't have your mask on. You know, we all know that. And so, I saw on Facebook, I love it, Facebook, I love Facebook. The mayor was in a restaurant and he was sitting at the counter. No, well, yeah, I was sitting at the counter waiting for my sandwich. And I came up here downstairs and I always apologize to the village clerk. I'm sorry, I'm going to eat in front of you. Because when I'm hungry, I want to eat. You know, people love to, they think they know, but they don't know. And so you can wait inside. Get your bag and you leave. And you go home and eat. Or you go to work and you eat. So what you did was not wrong.
No, I know, but I sat down.
Nor what I did is it wrong.
I sat down with the paper.
I know. Thank you.
John Jones?
Yes.
Thanks for getting that flower, that big flower box. There was 2 of us and we couldn't lift it, so thank you for helping us out.
No problem.
That's it.
Thank you. Is the chief still there?
Yes, sir.
Chief, can I see you? Jim, what do you have?
Yeah, just really quick, down at the sewer plant, sir, they are working on the concrete forms where the bell press is going in, and they're still doing a little bit of the electrical work. That's going to be a continuing process. And as far as gallons per day, we're a little high, over 1 million gallons here and there. It's an average, but you know, we had water from the ground surface, the winter, there's just so many things going on. We know that there's infiltration that shouldn't be happening, but besides that, everything else is well down there, sir.
Good. Thank you.
Mark? I just have one thing to say. Mr. Mayor, I really appreciate you bringing up the businesses in the community. I spoke with a couple business owners. One of them was Kevin Pozo from the park. You know, businesses that are out there, and I'm going to talk about the food industries and a lot of the other businesses that are out there, they're losing 85% of their business. That's what they're losing right now with this going on. And in this community that we have, the chamber begs for tourists to come here. That's what we do. We need the tourists to come here to make the businesses survive. And that goes for Fort Montgomery and here. And in these past couple weeks now, the state, as you all know, they've closed roads, they've blocked off shoulders up on Storm King Mountain. I think it's pretty remarkable that for I don't know how many months we've been asking to get potholes filled on the road down here. And in one day, they put more cones at a cutoff up on top of Storm King Mountain to keep tourists away from the communities. So there's no parking, but however, the medium, when you go down 9W, is 4 feet high in grass. Now, am I throwing some stones? Absolutely, because I really oppose to this pushing these people away. I spoke to a couple that came here from Long Island. They came to the area to get a parking ticket and to be told in the area that they went to 2 areas that they couldn't be here. And that was their visit here in our community. And I have to tell you, I know West Point graduation is coming, and good for the cadets. Mr. Mayor, thank you for what you're doing with Roe Park for the high school. For the high school, they got 12 years of studying for 2 hours. I think that's tremendous of what's going to happen. For the cadets, they're up there for 4 years. 4 years they're up there to go out now for their training. They're training to become an officer. And I have to tell you, for these people that are going to come to our community, and for the businesses and all of that, you betcha, as a business, especially with the times that's going on, and the loss, and I don't think people realize that a resident to a businessman, and for the government of a society that we have here, the businesses are sort of like the backbone. And you have the resident, and without the businesses, for that budget that the government comes up with, then you're going to pay for the budget. You have to have a strong business, you have to have a strong government. And when we push away these people from our area, it's not good. I just seen the other day, and I'm venting a little bit right now. I just the other day, I go up to Roe Park every day I'm up at Roe Park. There's so many people up there getting out now, enjoying themselves and everything else. When you go to the parks, which the state now has closed a lot of the parks, you got to picture yourself in an apartment having no property at all. You want to get out. I met up with Mary Jane. I was up at Roe Park the other day, and I couldn't help it by looking. There was a 5-year-old girl. She had a kite, and she was running the kite back and forth with no wind. And she was just a big smile on her face, and her mother was there. I couldn't really talk to her mom because the English wasn't too well, but it was just they were happy and they were smiling. And this is what people are doing when they come to our area, but we can't push them off anymore. We have to, with West Point, have a graduation. Have a smile on your face when they come here. Be happy for the cadets, be happy for the parents that their children are graduating from a West Point Military Academy, and we should be proud to have it next to us. And Mr. Mayor, again, I really do appreciate what you're pushing to do for the community with Main Street. I know there's been criticism with the gas. I mean, we got more spray paint on the roads right now than, God, I've ever seen before. But again, do I like it? I don't like it, but it has to be right now. And all in time, we're going to look and we're going to say, man, do you remember all the spray paint on the roads? Look how nice it looks now. So little patience, please, again, with the businesses, just think about how tough they're having it right now, those businesses. And I think we'll get through this pretty good. That's it.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Jim?
Nothing to report.
So I would like a motion to go into executive session on contracts, union contracts and personnel.
Motion. Second.
Motion by trustee Howard, second by trustee Liz, all in favor? I would like Todd to stay. I would like